Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of these fun DIYs that you could be doing for spring and Easter. All these different things are things that I've personally made myself and enjoyed making and felt like they were things that you guys would enjoy making as well. So stick around and I will be showing you all the things you could be making. Be sure to check the description down below. I will have some supplies for some of these items that you could purchase online or just things that you could do in general to make the projects. If you purchase anything through those links, they are affiliated, so that means I will be making a small commission through that purchase at no additional cost to you guys. And it's just a way that helps me and it supports me to do what I do here on YouTube and to be able to create content for you guys. So if you are able to do so, please consider looking through that list and purchasing something because it helps me. And if you can't, don't feel bad. Don't worry about that. It's just if you're able to, it'd be a great way to gift something to me by purchasing something. So the first DIY here is actually very basic because it's just made out of cardboard. And if you guys watched my other one on DIYs for St. Patrick's Day, I did a 2-in-1. So this side St. Patrick's Day. But then for the Easter side, and like I said, if you watched my St. Patrick's Day one, you're kind of having a repeat of just doing it with Easter. But in order to do what I did here is, this was back during COVID, like literally right when we were in lockdown and, you know, we couldn't go anywhere and really didn't have a lot of options to leave our homes. I got really into crafting. I was doing a bunch of DIYs because I had just gotten married. I had a small apartment. I wanted to be crafty, but we had limited space on storage. So I had to get creative on making a lot of my stuff 2-in-1, and I also didn't have a lot of money, so I was making a lot of stuff out of cardboard, and you wouldn't have known. Like, and I'm sure you guys can't really tell if you were just to look at this that this is made out of cardboard, but it is. Probably a cereal box or something that I took to, and I put the prints together. So this is just the part that would be cardboard, so you could paint on it and do stuff. And to do a lot of this, what looks like stencils and stuff, is I didn't have a printer. I was still new with freehanding stuff, so I wasn't really freehanding any of this. I was not confident in doing fonts at the time. So what I did is I only had like a tablet and my phone, so I didn't have a whole lot of options, but I took and made my own stencils. So as you can see, it's just notebook paper here that I just traced the images I want. So online they had a bunny like this. I thought it was cute. And I had the little heart for the tail. And I even did the hoppy part. So I just found online some templates and traced them. And then I did this effect. I think I learned this in school, back in elementary school, to do like your own transfer paper. So I traced it with pencil first from my screen. And then I went over it with a darker either Sharpie or marker just so I could see it on the other side. Then I traced it with pencil. And then I laid it where I wanted it. And then I did this little shade effect so that that pencil on this side would go on here. Just enough for me to be able to follow and have just a guideline. It didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be enough that I could see it. So I had something to work with. And I believe I did my background first. So I just took a bunch of Easter colors that I liked and really just took a sponge and just kind of went all over. I think this was the first time I had ever messed with this kind of technique. So it was just kind of new to me. And this was also a really long time ago, so I can't remember exactly what I did. But I'm pretty sure I just got some paint on a sponge and probably dabbed it a little bit to make it so it wouldn't be so globby on here, and just kind of went all over and just did a whole rainbow pretty much. So you could easily take this same technique like I just said and do it for something else. I did the same thing for this St. Patrick's Day. Same exact thing. Found the font I liked, found something online, traced it. If you don't want to trace it, if you are able to print it, you can print it and then trace it that way. You could still do the same thing where if you don't want to sit and trace this whole thing, if you just printed it out, and then if you went up to like a window, you could trace it with pencil and still do the transfer. It would still work. That's just, I didn't have a lot of options at the time, so this is the only way I could do it. But I think this applies to any holiday, any occasion. You can do this with a bunch of different things throughout the year. So holidays or just signs that you like to sing, you can make something look nice that way. To kind of hide that this is even made out of cardboard, I actually will put this in a frame without the glass. I'll just have like a regular frame and then just have it displayed that way, and it looks like it's supposed to be like that, or like it came that way in the frame. So you can be very deceiving with how this looks, even though it's just made from cardboard. I've been able to wow a lot of people just saying, this is cardboard. I traced it and did this all myself. It didn't come this way. I didn't buy this at the store. I made it myself. So do not underestimate what you can do literally with just cardboard and some paint and some pencils and some tracing. You just be patient, you know. It does not happen overnight to be able to do this kind of stuff. I eventually started learning how to do some of this lettering just from watching a couple YouTube videos. There's a lot of people on here that will do calligraphy. And if you guys want, I can even show you a little tip on how I kind of have a cheat sheet way to do this kind of effect. If you're not into that calligraphy and figuring out the pressures and stuff like that, I could make a small tutorial on how I do my lettering like this without actually doing all that complicated stuff. There's a little cheat sheet way that I found that you could do it a little easier. So if you guys are interested in me doing a little small tutorial on how to do the lettering and have that little tip, that little cheat sheet tip, drop it down below. Say, hey, I want to learn the little tip on how you do the little calligraphy look. So this one was kind of fun to do. I actually had come up with this idea, or I didn't come up with the idea, but this was an idea that I did with my group of girls, 8 to 11, for activities at my church. I've seen this on Pinterest, where you take pine cones and you turn them into flowers. So this is just what a normal pine cone is. And so what you do is you'll just cut. And I had to use special like gardening shears or pliers to do that, because my scissors would not cut into something like this. The middle part is actually really, really thick to get through. So it did take a little bit to kind of cut through some of these, and it was very messy. So I would strongly encourage you guys, if you can, and if you have pine cones or whatever, like these were outside, so I don't know if the ones from the store would be this big of an issue, but definitely it was messy, just flinging everywhere. It was very messy. I did it on my table, and that was not a good idea. I should have done it outside. But you really just hot glue them. I did mine on just regular sticks from my yard. When I did the activity for the girls, I actually found some wooden rods that were a little, like about the same thickness, and maybe slightly shorter in length, probably about that long maybe. But if you don't have those, you could just go out and get some sticks, and they can be as thick as you want or as thin as you want. Like this one's a much thinner one. It's really up to you. And you paint them whatever colors you want, and you can do the centers like that. I will say, because it is, I mean, you can tell I couldn't get through every little cranny, but it will be very time consuming trying to paint. But these are very, very pretty, I think, when you get it all put in like a little vase. I mean, these are flowers you don't have to water, but they look very nice. And you can go with whatever effect you want. I mean, you can do all spring colors, or you could even do something for Christmas if you want to do like a Christmas bouquet, because pine cones are a lot more available around Christmas and fall time. But I did these for spring, and you can do whatever colors you want, and you can do them as long or as short as you want, and it makes a very, very beautiful bouquet. I can even show a picture here of it just in a vase, or I usually just have it in something simple on my little desk, just because it is something that adds a little life and flower and floral look without actually having to worry about watering, because I have a hard time remembering to water my plants. And so these are ones I do not have to water, and they look great all year round. All right, so we're jumping back into COVID time. So I did these during COVID because, again, I didn't have a lot of options. I had seen some really cool things on Pinterest where people were painting Easter eggs and having them multiple colors like this and writing all these different words. So you could do any sayings. You could if you're not religious, you don't have to have these religious, you don't have to have Christ or things like that. You could just even like love, peace, or spring, or rabbits, or bunny, or whatever, anything that you want. Or you could have people's names on them, but in this case I wanted to, because I am religious, so I did do more religious things. And I was trying, these are just rocks that were around my apartment, because like I said, I couldn't go anywhere, so this is what I had available to me. And so I just picked out which ones that I could figure out how to fit the lettering on, and try to make them look like Easter eggs, basically, because I didn't have anything else. And I just painted them with acrylic, as many layers as I could. And then I just basically, I don't even think I traced these on. I think I just very carefully tried to add them. And then I did either Mod Podge or Elmer's glue, because I used both, especially around that time I had both available to me. So it does have kind of a glaze on it, so I wanted it to not scratch or something during storage. And so it's held up this long. They've been doing pretty good, and it's just a fun way to kind of add color, or just have fun little things with just words on them, and just a good way to kind of add to your decor or spring crafts, really. I mean, this kind of goes with my other one, because as time went on, now that it's been, like, this is about 5 years, so this was last year I'd done this, was I had done these plastic ones with plastic eggs. And I'll show a picture, because I gifted these, so I don't have them anymore. And they're Ray Dunn inspired. I always call them rustic, because I feel like it goes a lot with the rustic stuff, and I'm all into the rustic. But I think you just take a plastic egg, and you can, if you have a Cricut, or if you have the lettering that are stickers or something, that's how you would do it. But I didn't have the time, or I have a Cricut, but I haven't messed with it very much, so I really haven't gotten into doing the sticker portion of using my Cricut. And I was kind of short on time, and was trying to use what I had. So what I ended up doing, and like I said, I don't have the finished ones, but I can show you kind of what was going on, is I had these plastic eggs, so I chose the lightest ones I had. And this is just tissue paper that I was either Mod Podge or Elmer's glue, and I tried to very carefully, these are very poor examples. Like I said, the pictures of the ones that I actually did were better. And then I would paint over them. So the ones I made did not have these drastic wrinkles. I think I got impatient with these, and I tried to smooth them out as much as I could when I was Mod Podging, and then painted them, and then I added whatever saying. So when I was done, they actually looked like Easter, or just like typical eggs or farmhouse eggs, and they were a nice way to kind of have set up for decor. So that is another option to do as well. So they're kind of the one and the same, because it was the same project, just over the years that I tried to up it with what I had and what my skill level was at the times. But I feel like they're a very easy way that you can customize it however you want. You could have it say anything else. You could have them say home if you just want it to be a rustic home decor. It doesn't have to say Easter or religious things. It could just be whatever you want it to say for your home. Next up, this kind of goes back to when I was doing the activities with the young girls. I still feel like this is something that even as an adult you could do, because you can do any types of design for eggs. This is just salt dough that I cut into an egg shape, and then once it dried, I baked it, and then once it was ready and dry and hard like this, then I could paint it, and I could do whatever little designs I wanted. And you could do more than eggs. You could do rabbits or chicks, or cookie cutters. If you have cookie cutters of all those different shapes, you can take that. And if you're into the trees, the holiday trees, you could easily decorate, and that can be a fun way to do just something more customizable for Easter, because I don't think they really sell a bunch of Easter ornaments. So if you wanted to do something like that, that's a great way that you could, and have it, you know, the way you want it and the theme that you want and such. And it's pretty easy to make the salt dough, and it's very versatile, so you can do whatever you really want. All right, for this next one, probably don't even think this when you look at this, but these are literally cardboard boxes. I know they probably look like blocks of wood, but they are, in fact, soap boxes. So we had a bunch of soap that I think somebody had given us. This was, again, during COVID when I made this. So we had a bunch of soap that someone gave us. They couldn't use that soap anymore, so like it was a huge pack of soap. And so I was like, great. So I took the box. I mean, we did not go through this much soap. I just took the boxes and we just kept the soap somewhere else. And I had seen something with the wooden blocks. You know, there was a lot of reversible signs. And like I said, I was looking for a way to do 2-in-1. So this does, if you play around with it, it does spell out summer. And I can show that here in a minute. But this was a way for me to get both spring and summer, and it was also a way that I could just, when spring was over, I could swap them around, and then it was ready for summer decoration. So it was something that was easy to kind of just flop and change. So, and then this was all pretty much the same concept as my other sign, where to do my ladybug, I just traced it same way, so I had an idea, because I was not freehanding this stuff. I think I might have freehanded the flower, because I've drawn flowers a lot, so that I think was freehanded. But, and then these will stand up, so I can show a picture of them standing up. But because they're just soap boxes, if you've ever set an empty box, they'll just fall over. But mine, they won't do that. And the reason they don't do that is because before I got to painting and doing all this stuff, and before I hot glued my boxes closed, because obviously we had to open them to take the soap out, is on the bottom, I weighed it down. So I use like those glass pebbly type things, or you could use rocks or little small rocks or stuff, just enough to kind of keep it from falling. So it wasn't a ton. These aren't heavy. There's just enough that it just won't blow over if you blew it or knocked it. It's not gonna go anywhere very, very easily. And so I didn't want them to be falling over if I had them on the shelf, and I didn't want them to be a nuisance with that. So that was a way to do that. So my summer, let's see, do the magic. Yay, magic. So that's the summer side. And again, all same concept. I found the things I wanted and traced it. So, and then with the S, I only had, because they both start with the same one, so I didn't have to do that one. But all these other ones have a different, you know, letter on the other side. So I did that because this was an easy one that was not super long. You know, spring and summer aren't super long words, but you could do any other one. You could do fall, you could do winter, you could do any other thing, or you could have it for other holidays that are shorter. I mean, you could even do Easter, and spell it out and do something with Easter and make it fun. So, and just pretty versatile. You can kind of do whatever you want with it. The next one is this. I call it my Pistachio Tulip Flower Box. That's what I call this. So I can't take full credit for this idea, because I had seen an idea. I've been trying to look for a really long time on what to do with pistachio shells, because I remember a few years ago I started collecting them, because I'm like, I feel like this is something you could use for a craft. Like, it just looks like something that you could just use. And I held on to them for so long, and then I just got rid of them when I was decluttering my craft corner, because I'm like, I'm not going to use these. I have yet to find anything. It's just, I just couldn't find a use for them, so I threw them away. Well, very recently, I was just scrolling through TikTok, and I saw a video, and I'll link that video down below. And they did this with their pistachios. They made flowers, and I thought it was super cute. And this whole little box similar to this. And I was like, well, I've got all those things. I could totally do that. But I kind of tweaked mine a little bit more, because there was things in her video that I just didn't have available to me. I didn't have, like, she uses a foam cube. I didn't have that, so I designed my own little thing. And if you're curious on how I went about to doing mine and how the little steps, I have a tutorial down below. So check it out and you can see all the other details that I do with this. But it is literally cardboard, popsicle sticks, and then the sticks and things that you see here in the floral stuff. So pretty basic stuff that's here. It is a very involved tutorial, so it is not something that you'll be able to do very quickly. There's a lot of painting, there's a lot of gluing, there's a lot of cutting, measuring, there's little tedious things where you're putting things together. So if that's something that would stress you out, I would recommend maybe not watching it because it is involved. But if you're wanting to have a fun little result in the end, I show how to do that and how you can make one like this. So don't be afraid and don't think that I'm telling you guys that you can't watch it. I'm just warning you guys that it is not something that is a quick and easy and you'll be done in 10 minutes. I spent several days working on this because I had to wait for things to dry and assembling everything. But it is super cute and I feel like anybody can make this. So I would give it a try, or at least watch it if you guys are curious. So I try my best to show how I do all of it. All right, next up is what I call my paint chip garland. So these are literally made out of paint chips that I cut to be carrots and egg shapes. You can get these, you know, anywhere where you can get paint chips. So Lowe's or Home Depot or any other hardware stores that allow you to have sample chips. And I think these had like 4 different color options and shades, so I was able to kind of work with these quite a bit to get these different looks. I did get inspired because I think somebody on Pinterest had done something like this, and that's what inspired me to do this. I'll maybe show some pictures of similar ones because I mean this was again COVID, so I don't know if I'll be able to find the exact things, but I can show you some very similar inspirations of what may have inspired me to do this. But I just sketched them out. I mean, you can still kind of see with some of these that I drew them with some pencil, and you just do some triangles. I mean, I think I did triangles even for this, where I just glued it down. So you could do whatever different shapes you want. I just went with carrots and eggs because I thought that that would be just a fun way to do something simple. And then I just hot glued everything with some yarn here that I thought went appropriately with the green. And that was pretty much it. I think this is a pretty easy DIY. As long as you can, even if you can't draw an oval, you can use a stencil. And triangles, again, you can use a stencil. So I think these are things that you could really easily do. It's just figuring out the colors, and I think I just kind of laid them all out so that they would be kind of different. I don't know if I have a specific pattern or not. I just kind of did them. All right, I did a bunch more of these a long time ago, but these are the only ones that I could find that felt presentable. So these are yarn wrapped eggs, I call them. And it's yarn that you dip in some glue and kind of like string it out and wring it out a little bit because you don't want it dripping. And you just take a balloon, blow it up to, you know, a small size, and you'll wrap the yarn that's dipped in the glue around the balloon until they dry. And then when they dry, you pop it, and then you can take the balloon out, and then you got these fun little eggs that are left. And these are fun. I feel like maybe if they're done a little smaller, because I have done much larger scales, because for my wedding I had done something with bigger like orbs, and they don't hold up extremely well. These hold up a little better, but they are, like you can see, I could pretty much easily crush these. And that's what's a little difficult about these, is unless you store them a specific way, these will not last super long. I have wanted to try doing a much smaller scale, like smaller eggs, or even just twine wrapping with something a little tougher already. But if you're wanting to do just something with the kids, or just something that's quick and easy, or just want to do something Easter or spring related, this is something you can attempt to do. Maybe you guys can come up with a better method than what I have done. But I think these can be pretty fun because I think I even did like 3 different colors with this one. So you could have fun with different colors or different things, or you, like I said, do different sizes. Could even, if this is not something that's interesting you, like I was saying with the plastic eggs, is you could yarn wrap actual eggs and just glue them on, like glue the string around it. I've seen people do that, and that can look really good if you do it right and do it in such a way that it can look very fun for a decor piece. So that's really up to you guys. But I did think these were fun. These are extremely messy though when you're letting them dry. So what I did mine, like for my wedding, I hung, and this is completely, if this is something you guys are okay with doing, at the time this worked for me because I was worried about getting glue on everything. So I just let them kind of drip in the bathtub. So I just hung them. I think I grabbed some hangers, and I might have tied these and had a string from like the balloon and clothespin or tied them or something so that they could hang and drip, because these will need to drip and dry and all that. But that way you're not getting it like all over your floor or over your tables or whatever. I mean, set it up in a situation that you're okay with glue getting, that you can just wipe up later or whatever. But it is on the messier scale, so it's not something that, if you don't want to make a mess, it's probably not a good project for that. But they are fun to make, and they're not that complicated. I mean, you're literally just wrapping yarn around an egg in just different directions. So this can be really fun. It's fun. I've seen people where they'll put like little things inside if you're wanting to just do like a refillable egg or something on a different scale, or gift this to somebody with something inside. That could be cute too. I think I've even seen people, if you do it enough, I think even somebody did it with much smaller, like the crochet thread, the really thin. If you do enough of it, I think I've seen some people where they'll cut a hole and then you can have something inside be a display. So it really comes down to just how sturdy you can make this. I've yet to find a way, but if you guys can find a way, I'd love to hear about it. If you guys have made these before, what are some suggestions you guys might have? I think we all would love to learn together on what the best way to do these are, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's tried these. All right, next up I have is this stained glass. So if you were to hang it up in like the window or have a light behind it, it'd be kind of like a stained glass effect. And I had done this also for church with my activity girls. And so I had kind of taken, there was somebody in one of my Facebook groups that does similar group activities with younger kids. And they had a 3D printed. So then it was 3D printed, same image where it was 3D printed. And the kids could just paint or color them or such. And I decided not to go that route just because of how many girls I had and the budget and such. But I ended up coming up with this idea, and I think I'd seen other people do the stained glass thing, so I kind of took two different methods and ideas and put them into one. And so this is just wax paper, and then you've got the tissue paper. So I cut up, yes, I'm crazy, I literally cut up a whole bunch of squares of tissue paper here, where all different things for these girls to be able to do. And then I had them just use some glue so they could just, this is all attached here, but they just did the glue. And then I took, this is just a page protector. So unless you can have a laminate thing or whatever, I did page protectors because I had a bunch of those that I could use. And to trace the image, I took the image from this 3D printed the company where I just kind of took it, because I'm not selling this, and I just traced it. I had to make it a lot smaller to be able to fit this because I think it was slightly bigger than this, so I did tweak it. And so like I had practiced on a piece of paper, traced it from my computer, and then traced it on each one of these, and I did a bunch of these for them. So, and then you just tape just a couple corners to tape it together. You do a hole punch, and then you can hang it up. So you could do this, like I said, if you're not religious, you could do flowers, or you could do whatever other image you want with the stained glass. So you can do anything. It doesn't have to be this if you don't want it to be. If you are interested in this image, I will share the company. So if you want to do what I did where you trace the image, Or if you're interested in that 3D print idea, I will link their company down below. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just supporting, and I'm all about supporting other businesses and other people. So if you're interested in that, since I talked about it, I will have them linked down below where you can buy their 3D printed, I don't know what you call them, projects that you could color if you want to do that. So I'll have that linked down below. But this is what I did because I was trying to work with different things and was going in a different approach, and I wanted them to be able to make something that could be fun and still be kind of nice for Easter. So like I said, you could do whatever images you want. And this is again more with the kids level with the craft. So I have 2 of them. I could only find one of them, but I have another one. It kind of disappeared, so I'm not sure where it went. So I'll have to show a picture of that one. But this one was, these are paper crafts with butterflies. So this one is just a butterfly, and it's attached to a straw, so they could kind of play with it and make it fly. So this is more on a kid's level. The other one is pictured here, and it's kind of an accordion type. I don't know. It makes me think of like a fan. Like when we were little, we would make the fans, but it's done with the butterflies. And I can link how that's done because I remember having it was on Pinterest, and there was like a whole thing on how to do it. And that was really fun and really easy, and it looked really nice. So like, I know this is a little more on the kids level, whereas you could make a bunch of those accordion style ones, and you could make something really fun with those if you wanted to hang those up or decorate with them. You can make them look really nice, and it would be fun. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that these projects were inspiring. I hope that you guys may have found some that you would like to try out. I'm curious, was there one that you really liked? Drop it down below. Which project are you thinking about making? Is there anything that you're planning on doing for Easter or for spring that you are currently working on? I'd love to hear about it. If you love this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon next to it so that you'll know of every time I post videos like this. And as always, happy crafting and keep creating beautiful things. Until next time, everybody. Bye.